Hey everyone, Rich with SB Comm here. I wanted to go over a particular category that uh, seems to be a little confusing, and I get it. HVAC automation is a topic that we need to discuss here today. And what we're going to look at is how can we create that perfect environment? A lot of people think that, maybe installing a Nest thermostat or some type of controllable thermostat will create that perfect environment. But there's a lot more to play here. So let's dive right in. So we got a typical home, right? That is ranch style, right? And when you deal with a home like this, what typically tends to happen is one corner of the home is going to be much colder or warmer than the rest of the home. In your typical HVAC environment, the reason why that happens is because the thermostat has the built-in temperature sensor. So depending on how many zones of how many thermostats you have to determine the temperature throughout the entire home. So here's a perfect example here and laid out. What we want to do is create that perfect environment everywhere. However, you know, let's say, for example, in this room, it gets much, much lower than the rest of the house. And the reason being is because the thermostat will end up being somewhere in the main area where it's gathering an average of the temperature setting for that zone, and it can't really accommodate to that room. So, with that being said, what needs to happen is we need to see what's going on in each room. And we do that between temperature sensors and what we call the HVAC damper. The HVAC damper gets installed in the supply of the air system. And what it could do is it can actually open that damper, not just open and close, but it can go by percentages as well. So it can open at 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on how fast they need to accommodate that room. So with that being said, I wanted to dive right into a system that we've already accomplished and show you what that looks like. So here is a system that we've done, and you can see we have a lower floor HVAC block and a top floor HVAC block. And if we click right into it, we can see how many rooms we are controlling. With that being said, in those rooms, we can now determine when the system needs to turn on, when it needs to turn off. And we do that with what we call the switch on threshold. Right now it's set to 30%. So if I have 10 rooms, marked here in that block, 30% of those rooms, which means 3 rooms, will have to request a change in temperature in order for it to trigger the HVAC system to go on. But let's say you want to get it down and dirty and you want it, no matter which room it is, and you want perfect temperature throughout, then all we would have to do at that point is change that threshold to maybe 10% for 10 rooms, or you figure out your percentages from there. From there, it does do some built-in automation. For example, if you have room A, which will go back to our screen picture here, and let's say room A is at 67 degrees, room B is at 70 degrees, and you want to keep, everything within its threshold, it can open this zone at 10%, less air is going to hit that zone versus the room that really requires it. So there's some built-in automation that we can do there without having to log into a thermostat. So let's dive right in to show you what that looks like on the app. So in the app, I'm going to go right to your climate control here. And then you can see all of the rooms based on their temperature setting and where they are. We also add another fun fact of the presence detection in that room. So a perfect example of this is this guest bedroom right here. If I click right into it, as you can see, we are in the schedule of comfort. All right, you see that right here. We are in our comfort zone. However, you see that it's currently in eco mode. Eco mode is ranged between 66 and 75 degrees. So it's not doing anything for that room because it's currently 71 degrees. But why is it not showing in gray? And that's because it did not detect presence in the room. Nobody is in the room. So there's no reason to waste energy to that room and provide more heat and or air to that room. But once its presence is detected, it will go into that range. And in this particular system, we have the range set for, let's take a quick look. Our comfort is set for 74 degrees, and then it will activate air, and 70 degrees will activate heat. So All this done through the app. Now you can set your temperatures in your schedule. So we'll take a look at the schedule, and you can see here, this is our schedule where we have our eco mode, which was 66 to 75 degrees. And then we have our comfort, which was 70 to 74. But we added that extra layer of automation. So, and as time progresses with the system does learn more movement into each room, and then it can accommodate accordingly without you ever having to touch it. So we'll go into the dining room, and you can see it did detect presence in this room, and that's why it is currently in its comfort zone and on its schedule. So this is how we do true HVAC control throughout a home. You set the system, you forget it, and let it do its own thing. I'll show you one more thing just to end it real quick, is the schedule for when it doesn't detect you for more than 24 hours. As you can see, what it does is it goes into building protection mode, a great mode for saving on energy. And if we take a look at that in the temperatures, what it does is the heat protection is at 82 degrees and our frost protection is at 41 degrees. So if you're on vacation and the system does not detect your movement for more than 24 hours in any room, it automatically puts the system into protection mode. It's energy savings, so that way, you know, you're not wasting all that HVAC, and you've never had it, you didn't have no need to touch it. But yet it will protect it from frost, and it will protect it from, you know, really bad heat. You don't want to walk inside the home after vacation and it'd be uncomfortable. So I hope this video is very helpful to you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to click on our website above on the top right, and I'll bring you straight to our website so you can learn about all the different categories that we offer.